Tell us about the predicament of publishers in the ad blocking world, how that sort of led to the creation of your company.
Absolutely. I think Germany was one of the eye-openers for me. Many of the publishers in Germany came to me asking about how to deal with the quote-unquote ad blocking problem. And I then did some research around what was the impact of ad block, and I was so surprised and shocked to understand that almost 40% of users within Germany had ad block installed. And publishers had very little recourse at the time to deal with this ad blocking problem. And I've spent 16 years of my own career focused on helping publishers monetize and distribute the digital content. And it became very frustrating for me to see all of that work being put in jeopardy by individuals that thought that they could get away with stealing content. And I felt that the answer to the problem was a transparent transaction between content creators and content consumers. And that's something that the online media industry hasn't really yet put their best foot forward on. For the longest time, and not only digital content, but in general, for the longest time, media has said, we will give you content, Mr. User, and in exchange, you will consume our advertising. This has been an implicit transaction for as long as we can remember. What I am positing currently is that we need to change this. We need to make an explicit transaction between content creator and content consumer. We need to have a conversation and engage the user around how they would like to compensate the publisher. And that could very well be through the consumption of advertising, and that could be the consumption of standardized advertising, or it could be around the consumption of customized advertising. The user perhaps will be willing to say, these are the things that I'm interested in, Mr. Ecosystem or Mrs. Ecosystem. Provide me with messaging or products or information that I'm interested in. Or the user could say to the ecosystem, I am happy to provide you with revenue that will compensate you for providing me with this content, and please don't bother me with advertising messages. And that's okay. But what's important is that there is that transaction, and that transaction actually occurs transparently, and that content creators are compensated for what they're providing. And users are a transparent party to that transaction. And this is what's sort of missing in the ecosystem today. Part of that issue is around friction. Content creators don't want to provide additional friction to the user in order to have them be party to the transaction. And so the right technology is around creating just the right amount of friction, where that users understand that they are party to a transaction, and yet it's not overburdening to them to actually choose the payment method.